I hate texting. If you didn't know that, I just want to make that clear. I hate texting a lot. It's annoying. It's just a bother. But that is the way we are now to talk. AOL Instant Messenger kind of screwed everything up. And then when we just saw everybody texting on messages on phones, going back, 15, 20 years? Game over, man. Game over, because everybody's going to do it. I didn't know we would ever get to that point, but the thing is now is that everyone thinks that we can still have emotional attachment and we can still have real connection through texting. For whatever reason, people feel that there's a need to that. And there's a story that I brought up that I thought really does talk about this. Now, texting can cause serious damage in relationships and how to fix it. Well, let's just say it like this. There are always times when you're texting that, if it's a woman you're trying to text and she doesn't understand what you're saying. How many times, guys, have you had it happen where you had to explain something that she didn't understand? Which means you have to text a whole lot to try to make a point. Whereby we might go with logic, we'll go by emotion, and they'll emotionally feel like, what are you saying? What are you trying to say? And they'll feel offended by it. And then you have to go ahead and explain yourself. And so this is a thing that comes up very natural. And then you have to go and figure out the best way, best course of action to explain things. So with that said, a story from Your Tango talks about why texting causes serious damage. So in the story, they talk about how where a lady is going to talk about her and her significant other. I don't know if it's a boyfriend. Okay, here we go. They've been rehashing the same stupid argument. They were in the middle of a big move to New York, and they were still mildly ill. She was still mildly irritated that he insisted on moving ahead of me to get things settled with his job, leaving me and 1.5 million packed boxes behind. Reception wasn't clear, so a phone call wasn't viable, so they had to text. Couldn't help but feel, she says, that if there weren't several state borders separating us, we could talk face to face instead of screen to screen. We might understand one another a little better. That's the other part. It's not even that people want to talk on a voice call anymore. Now people don't want to talk. If they're going to talk, they have to be in video. When did that become a thing? It is. So there's a study that talks about this. That a study from 2013 showed that too much texting back and forth, especially to hash out problems, can cause a disconnect in even the most committed couples. And researchers from BYU, Brigham Young University, asserted the frequency and content of texts can determine the quality of a relationship. And they surveyed 300 people, all in committed relationships, to participate. And most couples using text for relationship maintenance, and even worse, to argue. And a lot gets lost in translation. Perfectly said. So why are we tempted to frenetically button mash our phones instead of dialing in or calling? And by the way, I don't text. I don't actually type in the words unless I just use a little swiper kind of thing that I could use with my Android phone. Otherwise, I voice a text. And I do that because I do it with a disdain of texting in general. I don't enjoy the act of texting. And even if there's typos and other things that pop up on it, I don't care. Because if you feel like we're going to have just text that's going to talk at all, then it doesn't matter. But there are a lot of people that feel like that's a good way to go. And then the other thing, too, is that I'm very notorious about it. It's because I voice a text. My texts are long. And there's a lot to be said in there. And I don't take periods and I leave them run on sentences because I don't care. And then the responses I get back, short. So it's not even the way I like to even go and talk at all. I'm a radio person. I like to talk to people with my voice. And I know that many times when I've talked to women that I was dating, that it was my voice that was a very calming, comforting, relaxing thing. I think it's one of the most attractive things I have in my arsenal is my voice. Because I think I have a pretty well-spoken voice, and I think pretty elaborate, and it works. And so there's definitely times when I talk to a girl and I just got to know her a little bit. And just by gift of gab, having a good personality and be able to talk in a good, solid voice, strong, masculine, and very comforting, I would do that. And usually it would work out. But how many times can I get a girl on the phone just to go ahead and do that? But it doesn't happen much. And there's a dating coach, her name's Julie Spira. She offered relationship advice saying that she's never seen an argument via text have a happy ending. She says, quote, When the anger brews and escalates, usually a long-winded text message won't resolve relationship conflicts, and reactionary behavior puts you in a digital war zone. And by the way, if you're doing those long text messages and you're either on the outs of an argument, or somebody's just shutting you off and basically ghosting you, I can tell you for a fact that some people will not read those texts. The other thing I can't stand is when I have a girl that will see a text of mine. It'll be a long text or long message. It might be a week or a month I might not hear back, and they might not even read the message and just come back and say, "Hey, what's up?" And I'll get that. And I'm like, what a waste of time. But that's why I don't care about texting. And I would say, don't even worry about trying to go and do anything like that. Just go ahead and just change things up. Now, Julie says that when you're sending text messages back and forth and don't hear the sound of someone's voice, you can't know how upset they really are. Correct. This is logic for a guy, but a woman is not going to understand this for the most part. And there are examples of messages that you should not text your partner. Number 1, I'm sorry. Number 2, we need to talk. Number 3, overusing emojis in place of almost any words. Well, I do that as just being sarcastic. Snapchat, they make the emojis to look like you as a caricature so you can do that shit. And I do it all the time. I don't care. Because maybe it'll get some attention, but it doesn't really make a difference. But for the most part, it's passive aggressive and it's very sarcastic. And that's what I use it for. And using texting for long conversations. But I can't tell you how many texting conversations I've gotten. And women, you do realize that when you put stuff out there, if you have a guy that's able to go ahead and, like me, is able to get you to start gabbing, and there's a lot of things you start opening up about, just remember, guys usually with the logical sense, we're going to use that against you. If you're going to tell me something that you didn't say or do, like I'll tell you WhatsApp or Snapchat, that's the best, right? Because then I could just swipe right on the message I want to point out to her and forward it to her and say, what about this? I can't tell you how many times I've done that. And you know what? Yeah, I get a bad response to it, but you know what? I don't care. Because I'm like a lawyer. I'm with evidence. Here you go. Receipts. Receipt. And I do it. This is why you shouldn't do texting, because it is passive aggressive and it is very annoying. And what you should text your partner, thinking of you, have a great day. Can't wait to see you tonight, XO. Or funny pictures or memes, or text letting them know that you are thinking of them and wanted to make them smile. And quick text confirming the time, place, or address for plans. That's what they think you should do. But like I said, I don't like texting, but there are a lot of people that are willing to go and do it that way, and they're better off. But just remember, if you're going to get a text from me, it's going to be voice to text. Because I'd rather talk to you in person and connect with you. Especially if you're a girl, so that we can both get together, communicate effectively, directly communicate, and then we can learn easily what plans we want to do something depraved and debaucherous.